Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. This is actually episode 386, and I'm your host, Sean Garmer, and here with me, as usual, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
Well, this was really a week that we're kind of like looking forward to stuff. We just had the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. All of the reviews dropped yesterday. It has a 94 Metacritic, which is crazy insane. But that's one of the things they wanted to do with this game. We'll talk about that. We got the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC trailer thoughts, the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase thoughts. Marc's been playing some more Persona 3 Reload, Regency Solitaire 2, and even got into some Helldivers 2 as well. So we'll get to talk about the good and bad of that game. I've been playing more Banishers Ghost of New Eden myself, and we got some other things. Sony's looking to extend the PSVR 2's life, possibly by going to PC, and a lot more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right, so let's quickly here get into the housekeeping. So if this is your first time listening or 100th time listening, we do appreciate you, or watching. You can watch us, whether it's live, like right now on Fridays around the 12:45-ish time. We do the show then. You can watch it on all the different platforms, W2 Network, and all those Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all those places on Facebook as well. And then you can also watch on demand later on YouTube if that's how you prefer. If you do subscribe and follow to the channel, which we would appreciate, you not only get what we do here with Video Games to the Max, you get a bunch of other cool stuff that we have as part of the whole network here. We get the anime guys. They just dropped a new episode a couple of days ago talking about the winter season and all the shows they've been watching. So make sure if you like anime and you definitely keep up with the new stuff, make sure to check them out as well. We got the Madam Web review. I know that movie wasn't great by all accounts, but we do have a review from Madam Web up there from the Rowlett Broadcasting folks. And, some more stuff to go check out as well. So, and also, just because, neither one of us got an early copy of Rebirth, but I did get a good friend that we had him on the show when it was Final Fantasy 16 time. Hayes Madsen, he's going to be back with me on Saturday live. It's going to be around like 8 p.m. ish, and then it'll be out there on demand for everybody. He's going to talk about his thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because he did play all this. The entire game and has the review up on Inverse right now. I'll have a link in the description too for everybody. But that's what's coming up on the channel. So that being said, let's get into the actual show proper here. I guess let's start out with the games we're playing. Interesting that Helldivers 2 is in the news because they've been having server issues.
Yep.
Right. And they just came out today and spoke about how they updated the servers to have up to 700K concurrent players, and it's probably going to fill up again. And they've also instituted a thing that kicks you out if you're idle for more than 15 minutes because so many people were staying in, logged in, even if they weren't playing, so they wouldn't have to deal with the server issues. So they found a way to kick those people out as to, provide more space. You told me that you tried several times. You were able to get in one time, and then you had other issues where you couldn't get in at all.
No, well, the problem with the idle problem is like, I'm sure some people are just staying in, did not deal with server issues, but I'm sure a lot of people are just like hitting log in and then walking away from the game because they're it's going to take a half hour to get in. So it's like,
right,
they get in, and then then they're like, they don't even realize it, and then they come back and it's been sitting there for a half hour, like in the lobby. So I tried about 4 or 5 different times. I actually kept trying a few different times also. First time I tried it, it was fine. I got in like the training mission, did that, no problem. and you have to like do the training before you can actually start playing the game, which is okay.
Right.
Then I had to wait. I did that like on like last Sunday, and then me and Jens were gonna play on Monday, and he didn't do the training at all yet. And it took him. He tried from like 4 to 5 to get in. He couldn't get in at all. Meanwhile, I actually just got in like from the get. Like I just hit go and it was fine. But he couldn't get in for like an hour, and then he took a nap, and then like at like 7:30 or so, he was able to get in. We played for like an hour and a half, and then on Wednesday we were gonna play again, and it still didn't work. Or that was the day that the new patch hit, and they're like, "Oh, we fixed some stuff," and I was like, "Nope, still busted."
Oh, that sucks.
So we ended up playing Far Cry 6 instead.
Such a much
So-
better
same TV.
perspective, right?
Well, it's like, oh, I'm sure the servers for that game is still overloaded with people trying to play that also.
But I mean, so you did get to play the game. Like, what did y'all think playing, and was it fun? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's good. It's funny. Well, he doesn't like the stratagem thing, like to enter. He's like, he called it like entering in the Konami code to call in power ups.
Right.
And I was like, that's from the first game. Like, almost all this stuff is from the first game. Like even the Super Earth and the militaristic Starship Troopers stuff. It's fun. We did have one mission kind of break on us. I don't know why. Like it was like a weird server issue, maybe. We did this one mission with evil robots, and you're supposed to land and like escort civilian or escort scientists or whatever to like this evacuation zone, but enemies kept spawning in endlessly, like from the get go. And it's like you're supposed to have like some downtime here, or it's not supposed to be. It was like a easy mission because they have like
Right.
they have like trifling, easy, medium, hard, and it goes up from there. So it's like this is not supposed to be like the hardest mission in the game, but we burned through it, lives, and we ended up just failing the mission because it's like this is like overwhelming,
I mean, but like, so they come in waves at you constantly. You're not really.
Well, it wasn't even waves; it was just constant. It's like,
Yeah.
So I don't know if like the scripting broke or what happened, and like even to find, because we were hanging out at this like base for like 10 minutes trying to figure out where the hell the people were, and there's like a people dispenser in the base. It's like press this button, and like 3 or 4 scientists come running out, and you have to like escort them, and it's like this isn't marked at all on the map. It's extremely not noticeable, like. So that mission sucked, but all the other missions where you just like blow up, alien bugs or whatever, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I killed the ends once because I think I called in like a machine gun to be dropped to our location, and then like he got under like where the landing zone was, so it just dropped on him.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that if you'd run into the friendly fire thing. But I mean, that kind of seems like fun because I like that from Halo too. That it felt like.
Yeah. I mean, it provides some comedy as long as it's not like a dire point or anything. I actually kind of like the stratagem thing also, like because it gets like, okay, let's say he goes down when we're fighting some aliens. It's like, okay, do I try to like clean up the area myself, assuming there's only a few left, or I just kind of run away for a second, and then call him back into the fight.
Right.
Or, calling in like orbital bombardment or, stuff like that, I think is, interesting. Also, it has like a weird like unlock system kind of, because you unlock new weapons and stuff, which is fine, but you also unlock new armor pieces, which are just armor pieces. They're not like, oh, this is more armor, or this is more armor and you're less mobile.
It's not like an upgrade, really.
Right? Yeah, it's just like cosmetics. So
I've heard a lot of people talk about the store. That there's a store in there where you can buy things, but
there is. but it's not like overbearing, I would say. And you actually do get a decent amount of currency just with the free store, because you can unlock like the paid currency with the free store, I think. So it's not like too bad. And also, like, the missions will be like, it has like one overall objective, like, oh, go kill these two bug commanders in this area or this map. But most maps have like a whole host of different side objectives and stuff like that you're not fully aware of until you like kind of like you stumble upon it.
Yeah.
So it gives you reason to kind of explore as well. But there also is kind of a timed component, like you kind of want to do the missions like kind of quickly. So I think it's like a lot of like it's a lot of like, oh, you kind of have to know these maps going in.
Have you been able to play did you try to play by yourself at all, or just only
I didn't want like just the very first mission just to see what it's like. It was okay. I didn't. It was a trifling mission, so it was like basically like go kill 20 bugs and it's over. But it was all right. But it's designed for multiplayer game, or
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, is it any different with randoms or?
No, I mean I just played by myself.
You play
Completely.
okay.
Yeah, I'm sure. If you got on like with like higher level people, it'd probably be a lot easier, or they'd have like a lot more cool stuff to them that they'd have access to, like weapons or stuff like that. But on its own, it's still fine.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
I've been kind of thinking about it. Not now, obviously, because Reaver's about to come out, and that's going to be my whole thing for a while. But later on, just because it does give me like those Halo vibes that I liked back in the day, and I see a lot of talk about that. There's a TikTok going around of people. Somebody merged ODST and Helldivers 2 into one thing and makes it look like the Halo Spartans are dropping or whatever. And it is a thought of this is a live service game. If there ever was a game for maybe places to think about, maybe putting on Xbox as well, it'd be interesting if they could do a crossover like that at some point. But I'd imagine not, just because I think that would kind of be the let's kick up a Hornet's Nest even more than we already are with what's going on with everything. Anything else you want to say about the game, or?
like I said, it's good, but the server problem. I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have, and compared to some other games like Suicide Squad or Skull and Bones, where
Right.
no one's playing them. So I'm sure they'll eventually get this stuff ironed out, and it'll be a fun game.
Yeah, it seems like Sony people. All I see is people having fun with this game, so that's great. I'm glad that this is doing well and existing, and they're continuing to keep, trying to improve those servers so more people can play, and that's a good thing. I'm sure Sony is also just floored by the success as well. Like, just if anything, it shows why they need to have these live service games stay in date.
Well, I mean, it helps. A few things that help it. One, it's not like the most overly ambitious game in the world.
Right, that
it's
too.
Not quadruple A or pentagram A or whatever the fuck Ubisoft's going to call their next thing. Like, it's a $40 game, and it's kind of based on an old engine.
Right.
But
yeah, that too.
It works, and it doesn't need to be the most graphically intensive game ever made. It has to be a fun game, or it has to be a good game, and it ticks two of those. It ticks those boxes, So
yeah. That's the interesting thing for me too. Is just the people that are really just championing this game, and they all brought the marketing with the Fight for Democracy thing too. But I think that's also it's an interesting point of look how many people are playing on PC, right, as opposed to PlayStation. And I wonder if they didn't have the server issues, that there'd be more like kind of an even divide between the two. But yeah, I think it does show that these live service games, you really need to have the most people playing you possibly can, for sure. So you've been playing Reload some more?
Yep.
Well?
I'm near the end. I'm probably about 2 hours right from the end. Like I have like level 90 guys. Finally.
Damn, level 90.
That game is weird. It's weird because like I think about Persona 4 and 5. I mean, you can kind of ignore 5 because it happened like way later, but in Persona 4, like Reload is missing just a lot of like internet, like integral stuff, I might say. Like you don't really have a homeroom teacher. You just have like a collection of randos who pop in like every month. Like,
Yeah.
or like the bosses are so incredibly disconnected from the main game. They're just like, oh, the shadow popped up this month, go fight it. It's like, okay, I guess. Like the only like bad, or the only like no like bad guy is that like evil Persona team Strega, which I don't think you've met yet.
Right.
But you know, it's still fun. The other funny thing is like the party composition in the game is really unbalanced.
Why do you say that?
Because you basically have 7 party members, and it's like a weapon wheel, like rock paper scissors. But with this, it's like basically like fists, swords, or like melee weapons and guns. So 2 characters can use guns. 4 characters, or maybe even I think it's 4 characters can use. No, 5 characters can use melee weapons, and 1 guy can use his fists.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of enemies are weak to the 1 guy who uses his fists. So it's like, okay, I have to keep the main character on at all times, obviously, but I kind of also have to keep this 1 guy with his fists on as well, because so many things are weak to him. And I also have to keep the girl with the gun who can heal, because most of the characters in that game can't heal well. So it's like out of a party of 4 characters, 3 of these spots are taken up by 3 characters. I mean, at all times, you know.
Right.
So like, yeah, my level 90 main character and my level 91 guy with fists, and then it's like I got like a little kid with me who's like level 47 because it's like I just never use them, because it's like, why would you at all, you know?
Yeah, I know. Right. I mean, your whole point of the battle system is to try to quickly take advantage of the weaknesses, so you can keep getting the
Yeah.
one mores.
Yeah, the shuffle time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do have like a system to, it's like, oh, occasionally you find these like weird clock things, and it's like, oh, it boosts up your like lowest level character up quite a bit, but not enough. And
Right. Yeah.
like I can see what you tried to do here, but I would have probably gone with a better, or a more equal battle system.
It took me a while to figure out that's. I was like, because I went into the Tartarus the first time, and I was like, okay, I got some Twilight fragments, but
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you never seem to find these, and I was like, oh, you have to basically like explore the school for a bunch of times,
For the Twilight fragments, the
yeah.
2 best ways to do it are, Elizabeth gives them to you pretty randomly. You can,
When
like,
you
talk
do
to her.
her
Well,
quests or whatever.
yeah, well, that's the other thing. If you just talk to her, I mean, she'll just give them to you occasionally. But then, yeah, if you do her quest system, she gives you a lot more. Like, oh, go feed the cat, or go, find me a CD I like, and stuff like that. I did all those things. I just saw the
Yeah.
IGN guide, and I said, all right, I can just knock this out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 100% of that game, except for actually just beating it. I'm like a week and a half away from like the end of the game, in game time, which is like nothing. So I just have
So
like that.
you switch guides halfway through, or are you using a second guide to do the
I still use the 100% guide, Although it is extremely vague about like, oh, here's a story fight. It's like it just says like mandatory story battle. It's like, okay, how about you tell me like, hey, this is a good party to have, or this boss does a lot of dark attacks, so don't bring in a persona that is weak to dark.
Yeah, it seems like that might have been something that they just made really fast to obviously get it out there, and could have been there from the original, and they just kind of updated it with stuff that's from Reload.
Well, the stuff from Reload is like there are like story events you can now do, which weren't in the original game at all. So like boost up like your specific party members, like different like kind of like one-off attacks, I guess, or
there's social links with the male characters now, right? Too, because there wasn't that in the.
Maybe a few, but no, there actually isn't. Now that I think about it,
yeah.
Like that's the other thing is like all the social links are basically with the other girls of your team or like other male members of this like the class,
the school, random people in the school,
But like it's not like you have a social link with Junpei or Akihiko. That's a good point.
Well, I mean that's this was the first one that kind of really did that a lot. So they kind of went on and improved that over the years, and obviously as things became different, right, in the society around us.
Or it's funny, like the last month in the game, you finally get like the social link for Igus, which you haven't even met yet, but like the robot chick.
The robot,
Wow, this is like super late. I'm like, thank God I'm following this 100% guide, because it's like if you didn't know this, like there's no way you could do her stuff.
Yeah, her social link at all. Yeah,
because or even like Mitsuru, because once you unlock her social link, the guide is basically do it every day.
Right.
It's it's just like 10 days worth, but just knock it out really quickly, just to like avoid it all. I'm still like I think I'm one social link away. Like I have a little time to like wrap it or to catch up, but I'm like one social link like shy of the 100% thing. Thankfully, I can knock it out quickly.
Yeah,
but I like it. I it's just not as refined as 5 or even 4, but it's an interesting game.
Yeah,
and I think the shuffle time stuff is actually extremely funny. I got to a point last night. I so overloaded that card thing, I could pull 3 cards at once at the end of the battle.
That's the part that always confused me, the shuffle time thing, because I was like, okay, it's asking me to have all this money, and I was like, well, do I need to select the money one constantly, or do I need to select the the other ones?
I would do the money one fairly often. I'd split that up with like the money and experience, but there are Arcana cards in the thing.
Right,
they're like
Arcana cards, yeah.
Yeah, they're like the cards after you beat a boss, basically. Or after you beat the
like gatekeeper ones that are the whole floor is that boss, or
no, have you seen the I think they're called Nomad doors. Oh, what is it?
I think I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Monad doors, that's it, sorry. They're like, so there are kind of like one hallways of those where it's just like a kind of a hard enemy in those, and at the end you get like a treasure. But then there are like longer ones, like right before what you were talking about, like the floor is the boss ones, where it's like 2 or 3 like harder enemies to face. If you do that, once you get through it, you get like a new Arcana card, and the Arcana cards are like the game breaking ones, where it's like, you get more items for destroying stuff in the tower, or you can create personas 5 levels higher than what you are. That's how you earn money, by like destroying stuff in the tower. Like if you can pull that one card, or if you can pull a card that's like, oh, now you can pull 2 cards during shuffle time. It's like, okay, I'll always pull the money card, and I'll always pull the experience card.
Right. Yeah.
But now
That
I
makes sense.
have 1,000,000 yen. So
Just from doing Tartarus that much, or just
yeah,
or from
yeah. I mean, I occasionally worked at the school job just because it's like one of the trophies. But
right.
yeah, like destroying stuff in the tower because it's like, oh, instead of getting one thing, you get 3. So it's like once I sold all my crap to that police guy, it's like, oh, here's 600,000 yen. It's like, all right, cool.
Nice. You can
Yeah,
just buy everything at that point.
that's the other thing is in Persona games, you just can't like buy magic potions, or
Right. No.
so they still really limit that stuff. It's like, oh, the only MP restoring item you can buy regularly is sodas, which restore 10 mana.
Or 5 even.
Yeah,
5 or 10. And it's like it's
whoopee.
really helping me.
Yeah. So yeah, occasionally you get those from like, quests, or they even drop in that tower, which is helpful.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, you never get a ton of them, trust me. But yeah, I'll probably finish it out today or tomorrow, or at least the weekend, and then start the review because I want to be hopefully fresh for next week.
Anything you want to say on Regency Solitaire 2? Or?
Beat it. It's pretty good. The only weird thing is like at the end of the game, I had a ton of money, and I also bought all the upgrades as they came. So it's like, okay, I got all this money. Now what do I do with it? And
Yeah. Right.
I talked to the director, the game, maker, and he was like, oh, I was thinking for the next one I was going to put in like a limit break system where like if you fill up this bar, like you get like access to crazier power ups. And I suggested one of those power ups should be Omni Slash.
All right. Well, that's good. You got to beat it.
Yeah, it's finally out. I think it's like $14, maybe. It's worth it if you like solitaire games,
Yeah, that's good. You always like these, so and
yep.
Yeah, there's another one. There's a kind of a poker roguelike.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's kind of making waves right now. So.
Yep.
But I mean, anything else before?
Not really. No.
Okay. Well, I played a lot more of Banishers: Ghost of New Eden, and yeah, that combat gets a lot harder than I thought it was going to, which is good because at first I was like, oh my god, this is going to be. I'm going to feel like I'm kind of just doing combat for the sake of doing combat, and kind of like Vampire was, and just because they want you to progress the story or whatever. And I'm glad that it's not like that. Yeah, it's actually really fun to be able to switch between the 2 main characters.
Yeah.
And the fact that it like kind of continues the story of they both need each other, and so in order to be able to activate the Antea, you got to be able to do enough damage with red so that you can use Antea's cool ghost powers. Then they have the certain ghosts, whatever, that are kind of like taken over by a spirit. So that's actually better for you to use Antea than it is for you to be using red. And then like knowing when to block, knowing when to parry, when to dodge, like that's all. It's not like Dark Souls or whatever, but it's still pretty fun and it keeps you on your toes, especially later in the game where like there's more. The enemy variety doesn't really improve that much ever, but there's more of them. So you kind of have to deal with a lot of different ones, and then you also have to deal with the fact that like you have the really grunt skull looking things that like, oh, they can all of a sudden inhabit a corpse and become one of the harder enemies randomly if you're not paying attention, or you get consumed with the other ones. and it's like, damn, okay, because there's these side quests that you can do where basically you're summoning a group of them, and sometimes it feels like you're just fighting this endless horde at times, and I'll die because I'm kicking their butts, and then all of a sudden, like, I completely forgot that like 2 of the corpses just reanimated, and there's like 4 of the damn walker looking things trying to kill me all of a sudden, and it's like, oh geez, okay, this is getting a bit much. And but yeah, it's fun. It keeps you going. The map is huge for this game being what it is. I didn't think it was going to be that big, and then it's like, oh, this is a substantial game. Like, this is a 25 to 30 hour game if you do the all the side quest stuff, which is kind of hard not to, because all these like little question marks or whatever that appear, and you kind of want to sometimes get them because you get items or other things, and it's just like, damn, okay, and they do have a fast travel system also if you don't want to do that stuff, but it kind of does help you with the enemies. I fought like the second big boss in the game already, and that was fun. Just the way it looks is really awesome too. The story is really good in this. Like, Don't Nod obviously knows what they're doing with stories, and they do a great job of the whole crux of this game. If you haven't seen anything about it, is something happens to the female character, right? And so you have to make a choice, because your whole job as a banisher is to basically make it to where the spirits or the ghosts no longer are tormenting or bothering or around the living, right? So you have to make that choice of, okay, well, this is technically your wife. Like, what would you do in that situation? Would you try to bring her back to life, or would you try to, um, do the thing that you would normally do as a banisher, ascend her, And so the thing is that you have to complete these other quests with other people that you meet, making that decision of, well, is the person that I'm talking to an asshole, or is the ghost a jerk, or is the person just not wanting to like let them go? Like, you have to make those decisions, and like it reminds you every time, based on what you do, what's going to wind up happening to her. Because there's like 5 different endings in this game, but like I faced that like moral decision of, man, this dude's a freaking jerkwad. I don't want to help him in any way. In fact, I'd rather, like, one of them I just killed him because I was like, this dude's so annoying. I don't want to. It's gonna make it to where it messes up what I'm trying to do. But they actually do a good enough job of telling the stories well enough where you may actually have a thought in your head of, okay, I'm going to resurrect her. That's what I'm doing. And then it's like, oh man, but some of these stories, I really don't want to help that character. So they do a really good job of like making you think and making you make decisions. So I'm interested to see how all these endings wind up happening and stuff. So I've been enjoying it a lot more. And, and I'm going to try to see how far I can get to do the review before Rebirth comes out. But it's been a really good game. I think it's one of those that, and it's only 50. I think it's one of those games that, if you see it on a sale for like 30 or 40 and you're looking for a game to play, maybe later, and when the releases start tapering off, I would definitely give this a look. It's one that I think is going to surprise a lot of people for sure. So, and that's really been the main game I've been playing. I haven't gotten to play much more, but yeah, just really kind of floored me with how much I wound up actually liking this game more than I thought I was going to. So yeah, let's get into some of the stuff that's been happening this week here. I guess let's start off with the Nintendo Direct. This was a partner showcase. It wasn't the typical Nintendo Direct. Apparently, it's supposed to be another one coming next month, maybe. But I wouldn't go. I don't think that anything that they showed here was like, oh my god, I need to go buy that right now. But they had some really interesting stuff. Anything that kind of caught your eye, or
Well, obviously the big one is probably Shin Megami Tensei 5 coming to actual consoles.
yes,
uh, let's see what else. There was like one or two things that kind of looked good. Killer
yeah.
Instinct.
They showed what was it? Well, it's called Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance now.
Yeah.
So they're making you rebuy this game in order to get both of the different story blocks that you have to do.
Right.
So typical
Let's
Atlas.
see. The
They
Battlefront
had
collection was kind of funny because I'm sure that'll like get more people playing than like the recent Battlefront games.
right.
What was the other one?
They
World of Goo
had
looks fun, or World of Goo 2 rather.
yeah, Roller Good 2 is going to be exclusive. That looked good. The Penny's Big Breakaway from the
Christian
Sonic
Whitehead.
Mania
Yeah.
folks, that looked really good.
Oh,
Actually, so
the funny one, actually, the funniest one to me is Disney Epic Mickey rebrushed. It's like,
yes,
why?
because people actually it was a
a
game
bad
people
game.
liked. But it's a game people like though. It was cool for its time. I mean, I remember watching the trailer, and I didn't have a Wii, but I wanted to play it. Epic Mickey 2 sucked.
Nothing like
But
playing a third-person platformer without camera control.
as Scott says, the best part of SMT5 is the fact that it was coming other places besides Switch, so you wouldn't have to run it at 15 frames per second.
Yeah, like I'll buy, or I'll hopefully get that game for PS5 to review or to play, and that'll be great.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of think that Epic Mickey gets a bad rap on there. I think it's better than most people give it credit for.
A funny thing to me about Shin Megami Tensei 5 is how they handle the spell system. Because in like Persona, it's like you go from Aji to Aji Dine to Aji Lu, or I forget the nomenclature, but it's basically like Fire 1, Fire 2, Fire 3 that like Final Fantasy has.
Yeah.
And Shin Megami Tensei 5, they have that as well, but they also have like ranks on the basic spells. So you get like Aji plus 5 or Aji plus 4. It's like,
yeah,
why don't you just make like Aji Lu the second rank and then Aji Dine the third, like in every other Shin Megami Tensei game ever made? Like, you don't need to make 30 ranks of this fucking fire spell.
Well, I guess they got to find a way to make it, its own thing from the Persona games. I guess this a Ranger game that came out was probably one of the most interesting like indies that they showed at this thing, and I feel like after I get to a certain world, I'm probably gonna be totally lost. But
Yep.
Yeah, man, that looked cool. And Unicorn Overload getting a demo. I downloaded it. I thought it was only going to be on Switch, so I downloaded it on Switch, and then I found out it's on everything. So I might actually download it.
Yeah, this was like a day late, or a day.
Yeah,
later.
I might actually go download it on one of the other systems then. Even though this looks like it shouldn't really have a problem running on Switch, since the character sprites are even smaller than the Fire Emblem ones from the 3DS days or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that should be good. And Monster Hunter Story is getting a remaster on Switch. That's awesome because I like the Monster Hunter Stories 2 demo. I played the demo. I didn't get to, it's good. I'm glad that it's getting like a revamp on there. The people that are complaining about it not being on Xbox, I think you need to like check yourself sometimes with these games. Like, this is a very niche game. It's so well on the stories too, so well on Switch because it's Switch, right? It was a exclusive for Switch, but this was a 3DS game that's getting redone. we're going to talk about the Circana stuff from January, and I think people again need to like look at it and go, yes, you want all these Japanese games on Xbox, but it's still super niche as far as the Japanese games go that aren't the big tentpole ones, right?
Yeah.
And this is super down there as far as the niche products go for Japanese stuff. Shin Megami Tensei has a name, right? And they also have a deal with Sega and Atlas that's really that's been working out really well for them. So, you know, when it gets to these other ones, Capcom's always been very okay. We're gonna put this on Xbox, but not this. So I think it just kind of fits what they've been doing. It's not anything new. Pocket Card Jockey coming to Switch is awesome because that game is great. I want people should play it.
Yeah.
And another one was, just to point it out, another Super Monkey Ball game is coming. I know some people might have really loved the fact that Endless Ocean was getting a remake or remaster. I think I was in the majority of the people that were like, "This is your one more thing, okay, whatever."
Yeah, that felt weird to me. I thought they were going to announce I thought it was going to be actually they would have been held off Sea of Thieves for that one.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. Sea of Thieves can't run on it. I think is the. I think that the reason why, which Xbox ended up putting an official Xbox Wire thing out about what's happening with all their games, because they did show Grounded at the beginning and then Pentiment in the sizzle reel of all things, which is funny, considering they made such a big deal. And then Pentiment's out right now. You can actually go buy Pentiment right now if you want on Switch or PS5 or PS4. They are doing physical versions with limited run games as well if you're a big physical person. But know that game's not coming to you for like 5 months. So if you buy a physical, just get ready that you're not going to see that game for a while. But, Scott brings up a good point. Can you imagine if they didn't do that Xbox business update, which is what their plan was, is what it looks like. They were going to do that later. And then I guess they were just going to have these games magically appear on Switch. And then everybody was going to be in an uproar then. And, but yeah, could you imagine if we didn't know about it? This would have been a shocking Nintendo Direct. It would have been so much of a bigger deal, I think, had it been a surprise. But yeah, it was it, I think, not Pentiment. Grounded is coming, April 6th? And then you have Sea of Thieves is not going to come to Switch. It could come to Switch 2, I guess.
Right.
But
it's an online only game, so
yeah. It's just going to be very difficult, I think, for Switch. No, it's April 16th. I'm sorry, for Grounded. But Sea of Thieves is coming April 30th to PS5.
Yeah.
So it's not even coming to PS4 either. It's PS5. And hey, I feel like that little trailer that they pulled on Sea of Thieves that they showed was like they took all the tweets where somebody randomly says underneath a tweet, "Oh, bring it to PS5," and they just kind of pushed all those together, making it seem like there was this huge demand for it on PS5. We'll have to see how much of a big demand it is, but it's good that that's getting a second life somewhere. And Hi-Fi Rush is coming March 19th. So that got its own little trailer as well. Interesting also that in the 40-year history of Rare, this is the first time they're going to be on PlayStation with Sea of Thieves. So that's really cool too, I guess, to see that in a way. Overall, I thought this Direct was fine. There was some cool things in it.
Yeah. I don't know. Stuff that didn't super appeal to me, but they kind of just banged through it really quickly, which is nice.
Yeah, they didn't have it overstay. I agree. There was some cool things in there for me. You had the Shin Megami Tensei, but probably not a lot more, like you said. Scott bringing up the Sea of Thieves is gonna. Yes, exactly. That's what's gonna happen. This is probably Ubisoft's worst nightmare right now. That Xbox is releasing all this stuff about Sea of Thieves, because it is absolutely going to destroy whatever Live Skull and Bones might have thought it was going to have. Not to mention the game's not that great anyway. but like, yeah, it's gonna have a problem. I think once Sea of Thieves hits, people are gonna realize which one's the better, seafaring game, and they're just gonna go to that instead of looking at Skull and Bones at all.
Yeah.
But hey, there's that quadruple A game for you that you need to go into. But there was another trailer that was shown off about 30 minutes after that I'm sure a lot different types of folks were interested in it. Probably not a lot of the same people that are going to be watching that Nintendo Direct. Elden Ring was your game of the year. You and Jens love that game.
Yep.
It's coming June 21st, the same day as that Shin Megami Tensei game also. And man, showed off a lot here. What did you think, I guess, getting to see some of this? Or
I mean, it looked good. To give like a new bad guy with that, red cloaked thing, or that dude.
Yeah.
We're Elden Ring, so it'll be fine. I just hope, I really hope that it's a separate game, or not a separate game, but like a separate executable, because the way that From Software does DLC is insane in those games, where it's like, oh, you have to like find a guy in the game to like get access to the DLC. It's like, no, just have it be a separate branch in the menu, like load DLC, select what save or what character you want to import, go,
right. I would think at the cost that they're charging for this, the $40, it looks like it's going to be very substantial.
Yeah.
Right. There's going to be a lot here for people. I would think the fact that this was a lot of people's like first FromSoft game.
Yeah.
They would probably try to make it less convoluted for you to be able to find it.
No.
No,
That's not the From Software way. Because
yeah.
you can make that argument with like Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 1 DLC, but then they kept doing it over and over. So they're going to be like, no, this is our way.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, go screw yourself.
As Scott says, From Software making things accessible never.
Yeah.
Look, I don't play these games just because I don't like having to deal with the dying a million times. But man, the world that this is in, like all of these characters, all these like big bosses that keep showing, is like, I do want to be in there. Like, I like the look of all that. Look at that huge ass like hippo looking thing that turns into like a deer. Like there's just so much like cool iconography in this, just the way that everything looks like. Yeah, I can definitely see this this continuing the trend. I'm sure it will be up for people's game of the year and everything when we're tallying that up. At the end of the year. Like it's I'm glad people got their big expansion that they've been waiting on here. I'm sure Bandai Namco is very excited because we talked about their numbers dropping heavily last year without this. Without having Elden Ring there to really help prop them up. But yeah, there's even a collector's edition for this thing, which is insane.
Yeah, the $250 one.
Yeah, freaking crazy.
Speaking of expectations, this just kind of broke a few hours ago. Did you see the Warner Brothers thing?
No.
They said that Suicide Squad, quote, has fallen short of our expectations, unquote. It's like, really?
Who could have imagined that?
With that, not with the below 900 players on Steam for the past, day. Like,
it also doesn't help that I think Helldivers came out and like ate its lunch as well. Like, any chance that the game had redemption after the everybody was not everybody. It was like a mixed bag. There was a lot of people that were just absolutely hating on the game, didn't like it, and there was people that were trying to do the whole
that
this game.
That Kyle guy, he promotes it somewhat, or he likes it on Twitter. And
yeah, there's a lot of folks that end up liking it, and that's fine, if you do. But when Helldivers 2 comes out and absolutely just takes the rest of the players that weren't playing Power World and just says, okay, we're playing this now, there was no shot at all for Suicide Squad. Not to mention, again, Power World, Helldivers 2, you can buy both of those games for the price of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. That tells you everything you need to know. Skull and Bones, Suicide Squad charging you $70 for these games that are not great. People are going to vote with their wallet. People are going to vote with their wallet. It's like Scott said. He said it, I think it was last week. Oh, I'm reviewing Skull and Bones. I'm talking about, I'm having to play Skull and Bones. There's some fun here, but it's not $70 worth of fun, right?
Yeah.
And that's an issue with Suicide Squad there too. It's like it's just a lot of the same stuff going on, even if there is some cool story stuff in there. And unfortunately for Suicide Squad, it did well because if you look at the Circana stuff, which I guess we might as well tie into this too, is they were actually able to make this be a 5-week track instead of a 4-week track. So their track actually ended on February 3rd, which includes the early access period and launch day for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So when you look at the top 20 games of the whole month, it's number 3 because they were kind of coming off hot. People were excited to get it, whatever. It's right there under Tekken 8. And of course, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is once again number 1. But Tekken 8's right up there, then Suicide Squad, then Persona 3 Reload, which is apparently propped up a lot by PC and PS5. And Like a Dragon's right there at 7 after Madden and Hogwarts Legacy, which is expected. And then Prince of Persia is all the way down to 13. So that's good that at least that game charted. And Jujutsu Kaisen, which came out the day before on the 2nd, is also down there at 19. But yeah, it's interesting that game, but when you look at like the 10 most played games on both of the consoles, Suicide Squad is not there.
Right.
So it kind of tells you that maybe a lot of that folks that were playing it was PC, and then 2, it was something that a lot of people bought and then maybe decided to refund, or they just didn't play it that much. Didn't find the fun in it, and yeah, it has died quickly there. Also, something I wanted to just point out, just because when you look at the top 10 games played on PS5 and Xbox, of course, this is only by what's tracked by Circana. Let's be fair. Is you see that Power World is number 3, being on Game Pass, being there. But then you see the difference between PlayStation, Persona 3 Reload is on the the PlayStation sales chart, but it's not on the Xbox One. So obviously, being in Game Pass, a lot of people went and bought Persona when you can pay $11 or $17 to play the game instead of paying $70. But then I think you see the other side of it, which Infinite Wealth actually ranks higher for Xbox than it does for PlayStation. And I think that's because of Game Pass letting people play all the other older games. So when Infinite Wealth comes out, they went and bought it. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's that, that whole double-edged sword with Game Pass and PS Plus that I don't think it's ever going to change. It's either going to be a great promoter or it's going to be a killer of sales. Also, props to Shrouded for doing well as well, being another one of those survival games too. So yeah, the highest sales stuff is kind of, it's a lot of the usual suspects, but good to see a lot of the new games did chart well. Tekken 8 seems to be doing well for Bandai Namco, so that's good as well to see that that game is reviewing well and doing well for them there. So yeah, moving on from that, also just to, I guess, bring this in here because I did mention we'd talk about it a little bit. The reviews for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth are out. Since Scott is in the here watching, I should mention that another one of Outer Haven's writers, Andrew, he wrote up the review. It's there on the site for Outer Haven, so go check it out. Really good review, by the way. I'll probably put that in the description as well. But yeah, I was watching some of the reviews and reading some, and seems like everybody. It obviously has 94 Metacritic, so it's very well thought of. Interesting that it looks like the game doesn't. It is very much one of those games, right? The Ubisoft formula: unlock a tower, and all the icons come up on the map, and then you decide how many of the icons, how many of the mini games, how many of the things that you get to do. Any thoughts on what you've read or seen of Rebirth? Or
No, I mean I've read like just the IGN and GameSpot reviews, which delve into the ending a little.
Yeah.
But I didn't really focus on that. I just think it's funny that her climbing tower. It'd be funny to just use the same animation like that Ezio had in Assassin's Creed 2 or something with Cloud. Like you can't free climb at all in these games except for this one part. We climb this fucking tower for no reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks cool. Or I'm glad it's like 6. I think that it's like 6 big open world, or like 6 maps.
The zones, yeah.
Yeah, and they're all they all are pretty different from one another.
Yeah, it seems like it. The music seems like it's going to be amazing, and the whole combat system is just. I played a little bit of the demo, and it's even more fun than in Remake, because you get to mess with the party and like actually have it. The other 2 characters that are like in the back actually help you, even if it's a little bit, which is interesting as well on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so pumped for this to be out already and be able to play it. Very jealous of all the folks that are already getting to play it and getting to talk about it. And yeah, it looks like the ending is going to do a lot of what Remake did. So, it's going to be fun when we get to that part too, to get to discuss all the what's going to happen in the next game that we'll, I'm sure, have to wait 3 to 4 years to play as well. Right. I'm interested to see how much more content there is still left when you get to that, as and how much are they going to pad that out to try to make that a 30 or 40 hour game or whatever when you get to there. So yeah. It just can't be next Thursday fast enough already for that game.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're getting it digitally. I gotta go pick it up from Best Buy.
I've really thought about, like, do I want to get that game physical or not? Unfortunately, I already pre-ordered it, but you do get a summon, like you get the Moogle, the Mog summon or whatever pre-order on the PlayStation Store. Plus, you get Ramu and Leviathan if you have saves from Intermission and the original Remake. So
yeah,
there is positives to playing some of those games. And I have the books as well, and apparently that book, the Traces of Two Paths, that has Tifa and Aerith on it, apparently has major parts of the story in there too. So now I feel like I need to hurry up and read that book before we get to playing that. But
I got a buddy who ordered the $350 special edition, like the
with the 19-inch Sephiroth and all that.
Yeah.
Scott, you have a point, Scott, but I don't want to. I can't spend what would be $150 on the same game twice. Gotta wait a little bit, maybe later get the physical. But yeah, I forgot to mention, we were talking about Elden Ring, but they did ask Miyazaki about, what do you think about all these people that are still talking about Bloodborne and wanting a remake? And he says that it's a title that he holds dear and is happy that the fans are just excited about it and passionate about it as he is. And that, he has fond memories of it, but he doesn't mention anything about it there being remake. It's crazy to think that we're almost getting to the point where next year it'd be 10 years old. and they have remade other things that are much more recent than Bloodborne. Like, what are they waiting on? It feels like with as much fervor as there is for Soulsborne games right now, you'd think that would have been something they would have made a lot sooner.
I mean, apparently Bloodborne of their Souls games is actually like the weakest selling of them.
Yeah. I mean, it is also, I guess, the more different one, right?
Kind of, but
yeah,
not really. Let's say that. I personally just found Bloodborne to be a very weak one of those, and I know everyone, including Jens, is all like, busting a nut over it or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, okay,
yeah.
like it's 90% Dark Souls, or it's like the only real difference to me was like, oh, now you have to like farm for healing vials instead of just having 3 or 4, and I can have like 60 or 70. And it's like, okay, that's cool. And you don't have a shield, you just have a really weak ass gun. All right, next. Like, I mean,
yeah,
they should put it on. I think they should put it on PC. Like, just release some bare ass port of it. Be like, here you go, and keep bugging us for it. So here, but if you guys want to fix it up, you can do it yourself, and then be like, here you go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that they have waited this long for it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they probably have other franchise. I mean, they've kind of, once Horizon 2 hits PC, you already did the the Uncharted. You haven't done, I guess, the Uncharted collection, but you have the Uncharted 4 and the Lost Stories, and then you have the 2 Horizons are on there already. I guess Spider-Man 2 is the other one that you still got to put on there at some point, but it's like, it feels like you really had the opportunity with Bloodborne if you do the remaster or remake to get people going on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just since we're already talking about Sony, they announced something very interesting earlier in the week about the fact that they're pleased, and this is during a blog post where they announced a bunch of games that are coming, including Rebellion Zombies Army VR that's coming. They said they're pleased to share that we are currently testing the ability for PSVR 2 players to access additional games on PC to offer even more game variety in addition to the PSVR 2 titles available through PS5. They want to enable players to connect their PSVR headsets to PC later this year. Interesting, that I guess you'll have to use the cable, or they're going to provide another cable for you to do that. Do you think that this gives life to the PSVR 2 at all? I mean, that you have access to more games now if you hook it up to your PC, or how they could actually do this? Or
I'm gonna really help. I follow this one guy on Twitter who he basically sells a program that does this as already, although it's like really half-assed. He did it a lot more with the PSVR 1. Apparently, the PSVR 2 is like very finicky on the PC. Like, you need like very specialized, or he was talking about like like very specialized hardware and cards. So hopefully, it's more like a driver update or just some type of like software update that you can makes it a lot easier to do this. But I think all headsets, like VR headsets, should be fairly interoperable. Like, they should all have Steam VR,
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting that like they did say that they wanted to work more with PC and getting games so that it wouldn't just be, oh, these games are exclusive, and they didn't want to like lock it down to the ecosystem. So this kind of feels more like exactly what they've been saying. I don't know that it sells a lot more just because it has ability for PC.
Right.
It is the second of the ones that are known between MetaQuest and Sony and all that. Like, besides the MetaQuest 3, it is more powerful than the MetaQuest 2. And, you do have the fact that you can play some Sony, like Gran Turismo and Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, all that on there. But do you worry this is also kind of a Sony cop-out of a way to say, well, we're not really going to do much first party with this. So here's more another way for you to get. games.
I knew ahead of time. Like, this ain't
Yeah.
news to me. Like, they made that Horizon thing and made that Gran Turismo 7 mode, and that'll be about it. And they'll
Yeah.
make like smaller crap. Like, I know your worry is it's gonna make the new Astros thing in VR. Like, I'm sure they'll make like Moss 3 in VR, just because that's a
Right.
primarily VR, franchise. But they're not gonna make like Uncharted VR, or they could.
That would be awesome if they did, but yeah, I get you.
I could more see like a Spider-Man VR, like
Oh
web
wow.
swinging
Yeah.
around New
That
York
could
City.
get people into it if they did it.
Yeah, but have it not be shitty like that Iron Man VR thing.
Yeah,
But
that game had so much potential, man.
yeah,
It's sucks to see. I do think it's a smart decision. I think it's a smart. I mean,
Yeah.
I think all of this stuff about them doing more PC is a smart decision. Period.
Right.
But especially the VR stuff, that is a really good decision by Sony to get their players that are already playing, that already bought the system, more games, make them feel like, okay, I have an ability to buy more things. I don't know if it's going to sell more PSVR 2s.
Nope.
But maybe it increases a higher attach rate for the people that already have them.
Yeah.
Which that did happen with PSVR 1. The people that have PSVR 1 and actually used it, they seem to like it a lot. It's kind of like the Vita. It's like everybody that had the Vita and loved using it loved the Vita. The problem was Sony didn't support it enough, and the memory card thing was the problem. But
have you ever actually seen a PSVR 2 on sale?
No, I mean, I don't go to GameStop anymore, and when I've gone to Best Buy, I'm going for other things, and I kind of barely go over to the game section. But I've never seen the PSVR 2.
I saw a PSVR 2, like a used one sale, like for sale, like a used GameStar 1. So that was it. So
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people aren't taking those either, right? So like GameStop, I think is not taking them also.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those, like, you buy it and then you have to make the decision of like, okay, well, I'm either going to keep supporting it and buy games for it, or it's just going to sit there on the shelf. And I saw some folks, saying that, they bought this thing and they really haven't used it at all, very much similar to the PSVR 1. And then there's the ones that do
all have VR headsets.
Yeah.
You play with it for like 2 weeks and they're like, all right, we're cool.
Yeah. It's interesting that, I mean, they're still promoting it, Scott says he does see more used Quest 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
But I think that's also because there was more Quest 2s and 3s that have been bought by people, right?
Right.
I don't think the PSVR 2 is going to hit the 5 million the PSVR 1 did.
No.
Just,
I don't know.
Just because VR is in a different place, I think, than unless you put like Half-Life Alyx on there, and if maybe that makes it accessible to those people that already have the system, maybe that can help a little bit. But
unless you put Half-Life Alyx 2 on there, like we have the sequel to Half-Life Alyx only on the PSVR 2.
Yeah, it's funny that somebody says that this is an important category for us and this is a help, but you'd think that they would be doing more first party stuff with it if they really thought that this was going to be, this is a big thing for them. Yeah, but it's interesting, cool to see, good for the folks that have the PSVR 2 that you're going to be able to do more things with PC, and we'll see how that goes if it does improve PSVR 2 sales at all.
Yeah.
Speaking of interesting things, I guess Crazy Taxi. Sega announced that they were doing all of the new games and their older franchises, and there's been some leaks on what the Crazy Taxi game is. It is a AAA title. It is going to be the traditional Crazy Taxi experience that you enjoyed on arcades or Dreamcasts or other things, but it is also going to have a battle royale mode that is going to fit 100 players in a single match with a winner takes all kind of setup.
What? Those three things you just said are completely at odds with all of them.
It's not something I thought I was going to hear when somebody told me there's a Crazy Taxi game. You know?
Okay, it's like step one, Crazy Taxi is going to be a AAA game. It's like, okay, why? Like Crazy Taxi was never a AAA game. And then phrase, sentence two is it's going to be the same as old Crazy Taxi game. It's like, okay, automatically that's at odds with AAA game because Crazy Taxi is, play for 4 minutes and the round is over. It's not like you can play that game forever because there's literally a fucking timer in the screen counting down constantly. Like, and then I could see step 3 kind of being interesting. Like, look at like Mario 100 or 30 or Tetris 100 or F-Zero
99. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, whatever. But like, 100 taxis going around a city, that'd be kind of interesting. But you can't have this. This isn't going to be like The Crew or
it would have to be like Tetris, right? Like where it's all asynchronous, where you're all just kind of battling against each other on your own screen. I don't think they would have all of the taxis on one screen, picking up the same amount of. Yeah.
I could actually see them. I could see them trying to actually do that. Have it be like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or whatever. Like you literally like or like Fortnite, where you're just like you literally. The taxi falls out of the sky with a parachute, and then you just get going. But I think like having collision with other cars might be an issue.
Yeah, or like you're all trying to pick up the same person or whatever. And you have 5 cars going after this one thing, and like is it going to be that? Like, are you just trying to get the most people you possibly can to a certain destination? Like, is it going to be?
I imagine it'll be like that, or like the highest, the most expensive fare. Like, this one fare in the north part of the city wants to get to the south part, and they pay $200 more than anyone else, or something like that. But what Crazy Taxi needs, it'd be okay. They need an arcade-like mode. They need like a free roam mode, or if you just want to play forever, hey, you can do it, and then you can realize just how shallow this game premise is. And they need Offspring.
Yeah.
And Bad Religion, but mainly Offspring.
Well, I'm sure they could definitely get both of those if they want to.
You say that, but the modern Crazy Taxi 3 didn't have it, 15 years ago, and like they put Crazy Taxi on iOS and Steam and shit like that, and they don't have those songs either. And it's like it's one of the few examples of songs or bands like making the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have it, it just sound the sound alikes or the free royalty crap. This one's awful. So
I would hope if you're going to say it's a AAA game, you're going to spend some money on the soundtrack because that kind of matters.
Yeah,
in a way. But
you'd hope, but Sega does dumb shit like occasionally with this stuff before. So.
Hey, they I guess they could put like soundtrack songs from soundtracks of their other games in it.
Yeah,
and say, we're definitely crazy now. You can hear Persona sound.
It'd be like the Live and Learn song from Sonic Adventure 2, like this when Sonic's bombing down the hill in San Francisco. We're like, great, can't wait.
Definitely, I'm sure that they will release more information on what is going to be in all these titles once they.
Crazy Taxi is a good example of a game that or a project that should be fairly cheap to make or fairly, I wouldn't say low budget, but modestly budgeted. But then going, it's going to be a AAA game. It's like, no, like this franchise would never support AAA, and it never should. That's the same. That'd be like the same brain trust going, hey, we should make a Madam Web movie, based on this D tier character at best. Everyone's gonna flock to that.
Don't get Sony started on why they're making all.
Don't worry, that Craven movie's gonna be great, isn't it?
They got to do what they got to do to keep the license, I guess.
Yeah.
So just release it. You can waste money because that whenever they have the Spider-Man movie, it's going to make all that money.
If that's really the case, they should just go like the Roger Corman route and just do it for like as cheap as possible have it be intentionally shit. Be like, we made a movie for $1 million just to hold on to the
or
license,
do the Dick Tracy thing, right? Where you just release like one thing that has Spider-Man in it.
Yeah.
Every so often, that doesn't even have to be a big budget. I don't know what the contract details are. I don't know if it actually has to be a big budget movie that goes into movie theaters or whatever, but it's interesting that, like, this is what we do with the franchise.
Yeah.
If Morbius wasn't enough to tell you that, like, unless you're going to do this really well or use Venom or something like that,
Right.
people are not going to, it's going to be bad, and it's only further drowning it also doesn't help that we're like in total superhero fatigue.
Yep.
At this point. Like, I'm really interested to see what happens with, I think X-Men 97 would do fine because it's nostalgia and it's a cartoon and whatever. I'm really interested to see what happens with Deadpool and Wolverine. If that cannot pull people back into the theater, I think Marvel really needs to start thinking about, I don't know what they're going to do, but
I think Deadpool and Wolverine can.
Yeah.
My issue would be all the other crap that's going on, like Captain America 4, whatever new Avengers thing, Catastrophe they're making, that Thunderbolts movie, all this other crap. It's like, this doesn't have like that established of a fan base or a history. So good luck. And then DC's clusterfuck of Superman movie, like, I saw that cast list and I'm just like, why are they doing this again?
I mean, I have faith in James Gunn that
I have faith in him to an extent, but them going like, it's not a Superman and like Superman versus Lex Luthor movie. That would be fine, but it's like, oh, here's Green Lantern, here's Metamorpho, here's Hawk Girl and Mr. Terrific. It's like,
are they all going to be in there? Because he said he wasn't going to do the cameo thing.
No, they are. Like, there's a.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, Superman, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, and Jimmy Olsen. Those are like the top 4, and the other ones are Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, Supergirl, Maxwell Lord, and Eve Kessler, and a few others. And it's like,
is this movie going to be like 3 hours long so they can all?
Yeah, it's like, yo, dude, like, no, this needs to be like, and they didn't even announce like Perry White. And it's like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, I still have faith in James Gunn to like make it an interesting movie, but
it's gonna be good, or but it's just not what I want at all. From like, I want like a very basic Superman movie, which they've failed to make since Superman 2, or like.
But I mean, if people at Warner Brothers are pressuring him to, hey, we got to try to make this into a connected universe thing, we can't, and nothing can just be by itself anymore. It all has to be connected,
except for the Joker.
Except for the Joker. Well, Joker has its own thing, that it has. I'm sure there's a Joker,
but it's not like
made.
They're not going to tie in pulling a whole bunch of other crap. Like, oh, here's.
Well, thankfully, they said that can be by itself because, good Lord.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's insane that, I'm sure Nintendo will find a way to possibly tie Zelda into the Mario so they can do a Super Smash Brothers thing or whatever. Like, it feels like everything has to have a connected universe at some point. And at some point, people are going to just be like, we used to just make movies.
Right. Yeah.
And they can be by themselves. But anyway, moving on to this isn't really, it's a game, but it's probably not one that like everybody's too crazy about. It is, to me, it's interesting just because it's been so long since we had the EA college football, and I meant to talk about it last week with Randy on. Because last week was when they actually debuted the trailer for it coming back, saying that in May they're going to have a new. They're going to have more to say about it, and all of that. And it kind of brought back those nostalgia feels for me. Like, as somebody that loved the college football games, it was one of the reasons why I played, or I watched a lot of college football, was because of the game. But now they've actually, because of the new rules to college football, right, where the players can go and get their own money, they can make their own deals. EA has reached out to 11,000 plus college players to opt in to licensing deals for $600 each. They've already gotten all of the 134 schools in Division One, which to me was, I thought that was going to be a problem, but they got them all. That's crazy in of itself. But hopefully some of these players are gonna make deals. They've also got separate deals with the bigger names, right? That would obviously help promote the game and everything else. Not to mention whoever the cover player is going to be and all that stuff. I don't know if you ever played any of these or not, or
Nope. But
whatever,
the funny thing is when that game comes out, I got a free copy.
Oh, you do? How was
I had
that?
a friend who was working on it. I think he's been gone from EA for like a year now, but he promised me a copy like a year and a half ago or something, so I'm going to hold him to it.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're promising that it's coming this summer, so
yeah. I'll find a way to bug him and then be like, "Where is it? Damn it!"
I'm sure that the cool thing that made college football different is you had the dynasty mode was different. You had the scouting thing. You had the where you could actually make it. Eventually, you could take your team that you had and put it into Madden. I don't know how they're going to put that in. Also interesting that they said that because of these rules now, with the players not having where the NCAA has licenses or whatever for them, you're not going to be able to edit the names.
Yeah.
So you won't be able to, like, I guess, make Caleb Williams, for example, and put him in as the USC quarterback. You're going to have to just it's going to be player number 2 or whatever, and that's who you're going to be. And they're going to have random stats from how those players have played in the last 10 years for that school or whatever. So, yeah, going to be cool to see what EA does with that.
Right.
I didn't mean for us to get into the movie talk until we got to this topic, but we already did. But go ahead. We talked about Marvel, Star Wars. Also, they have a lot of things going on right now. I think Bad Batch just came back again with some new episodes. The Halo series has new episodes right now. Apparently, season 2 is amazing.
Yeah, I've been watching that actually. Yeah,
yeah.
We just did a big follow reach episode like 2 nights ago. It was like it was good, but shockingly like not gory.
Oh, okay.
Like, they had a few spots, but it was very kind of almost like antiseptically violent,
Yeah,
but
makes sense.
It was good, well acted. So
that's good. I've started watching season 1 again just to see if I can get into it, because that's the problem. I started watching a little bit, and
the two problems with season 1, it still has that Covenant chick in it, McKee, who's like terrible,
right?
And all the magical stuff is awful, except for that guy Soren. Like, he's cool, and that's about it. But
that sucks.
I'll have
to just power through it, I guess.
Season 2 does kind of eliminate some of that stuff, or some of the more overtly boring shit, at least.
Right.
So that helps.
Well, Cameron Monaghan says that he would be open to playing Cal Kestis in a live-action Star Wars role now, after saying that he was kind of just focused on the games and he didn't want to talk about this, or he just wants to make sure that it would actually progress the character and be helpful to the character itself and be significant, and not, oh, hey, he made a cameo, whoop-de-doo.
Right. I can, that's better. Or I mean, just kind of redo the games and then, the TV show. Like, hey, why not? Because not
You
everyone
think they might consider that, like doing a Disney Plus series of Cal Kestis and his journey?
They should. Like, he's a more interesting character than most of what they got going on nowadays. So
yeah. I think it'd be cool if he did. I mean, they are working on the third entry, since even though the director is gone, he did say that he wanted this to be a trilogy, and obviously it's doing well sales wise.
Yeah,
So
like basically do like The Last of Us. Like why not?
Do it. Why not? Yeah, I would hope that if they ever get to do it, just don't screw it up, Disney.
Yeah.
Like you have a lot of other. I mean, again, their TV show stuff has been good for the most part. It's the movies, but yeah.
I would argue no, but okay.
Just one last thing here before we get to the upcoming games here. Ziff Davis officially recognized the IGN Creators Guild.
Oh wait.
So
one last movie thing, that Borderlands movie trailer.
Yeah. I thought that was good. It's fine.
Jens watched it and accused the trailer of not having music. And I was like, are you high? Like, what are you talking about?
It has a song throughout the entire trailer. What are you talking?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bad song, don't get me wrong, but it's a song.
Right, yeah.
Like
song, yeah.
I think everyone has said basically Kate Blanchett is too old for it. I kind of agree. like the character.
It's just kind of shocking to see them all like that, all there. Like it's like you got Kate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis, and then you got Kevin Hart being Kevin Hart, and you got Jack Black, and it's like okay, or Jack Black's voice, and then
it's like where is the rest of the cast of Jumanji?
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't get Karen Gillan to play Lilith. Like
you had the Rock just show up and do a random.
And he'd be Brick. I mean, there's a big strong guy in the first game. I'm like, hey, why not? I thought it looked fine, but I think it looks fine from a world building. Like I thought the world looked kind of interesting, but I think those 4 characters kind of seem lame.
Yeah, like it feels like they did capture the world of Borderlands, like with the sort of the atmosphere of it, the kind of the jokes that they're going for, stuff like that. But we'll see how that all works.
Can't wait to see everyone fangasm over Mad Moxie like they do with Harley Quinn. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
With that. But yeah, cool that IGN got their Creators Guild recognized by Ziff Davis. So the 80 workers are now officially a union, which that's great for employees. Wish more. Obviously, it helps that IGN's the biggest gaming news website out there, so that they can do that. As you can see by GameSpot, recently had people get laid off. So, it's good that can happen, but it would be nicer if this could trickle down and happen to more. Sites and stuff like that as well. Moving forward. So just quickly here, going into the upcoming games that are coming out this week. Pacific Drive is out right now, or was out yesterday. You can go pick that up. It seems to have gotten some good reviews. If you like survival games or roguelikes, there's some really cool stuff in it. The being in a menu a lot made it to where I kind of don't want to pick it up now. And
I'm still interested. I mean, if they sent a review code, I'd take it. But one of the things I saw was I feel really easy because it has a lot of good difficulty options, which is helpful.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely go, check it out if you've been interested in that from seeing the state of plays. I forgot to mention that Rare also released a bunch of old games to the Switch Online.
Killer Instinct. That's the big one.
Killer Instinct, Battletoads, Battle Maniacs, Blast Score.
What they should do with Killer Instinct is also release the soundtrack so you can just download it to your Switch.
Yeah. There you go. Check out that Shake, Rattle, and Roll as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. You get the Splatoon 3 expansion. The Inkopolis is also out as of yesterday as well. Pentiment is out on PS5 and Switch and PS4. So go check those out if you haven't already. This cool little platformer Promenade is out on everything. Go check that out as well. It's actually pretty different compared to what you see from other platformers. Sheer and the Wanderer Mystery Dungeon, another one of those Mystery Dungeon games, is out on Switch on the 27th. And that Brothers to Tale Two Sons remake comes out on the 28th, so that'll be out by the next time we do the show. Dark Forces Remaster is also coming out, so not only do you get the Battlefront 2 the Battlefront collection, I'm sorry. You get the Dark Forces Remaster pretty soon here next week. So, but obviously the game that we're all sitting here have been waiting forever to play, Welcome to Paradise. No, I'm joking. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yeah. Yes, I can't wait. Can it be Thursday already? I want to play this game. Wednesday when I get off work, I don't know how long I might stay up as long as I possibly can and then like crash because I've been waiting for this game for so long. Gonna be an exciting thing for sure for everybody to get that moment. Again, the plan is for Saturday, tomorrow, if you're watching this live, that I'm gonna have Hayes Madison on from Inverse to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So we'll have a kind of like a review episode there. I'm asking him questions. He's giving me his thoughts on the game. I'll have his review in the description as well, along with Andrew's review from Outer Haven. So until tomorrow or until next week, whenever you want to check us out, we'll see you later, everybody.
Later.
Peace.